They thought the machines would never betray them. Every radar screen, every GPS signal, every digital readout that American sailors had trusted with their lives for decades suddenly turned into a weapon pointed straight at their heads. And at 1:15 in the morning, in the Strait of Hormuz, Iran proved that the most dangerous enemy of a superpower isn't another superpower. It's the moment when your own technology starts lying to you. Picture this. You're staring at a radar screen aboard a billion-dollar destroyer, and instead of showing you the real world, it's painting thousands of ghost ships screaming across your display at impossible speeds. Contacts appearing and vanishing like hallucinations. Meanwhile, somewhere in the darkness, actual Iranian missile boats are closing in for the kill, completely invisible because your sensors are drowning in fake data. This isn't science fiction. This is electronic warfare in 2024, and it just turned the world's most strategic waterway into a digital nightmare. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just another patch of ocean. It's a 21-mile wide choke point where 1/5 of the world's oil flows every single day. Close this waterway for even a week, and gas prices don't nudge upward. They explode to $10 per gallon. Energy shortages cascade across Europe. The global economy doesn't stumble, it collapses. Iran has spent decades understanding this leverage, building their entire military strategy around turning America's technological superiority into a liability. While the US Navy invested billions in radar systems and satellite networks and digital coordination, Iran took a different approach. They built an electronic warfare machine designed to poison every data stream, corrupt every sensor reading, and flood American combat systems with so much false information that distinguishing real threats from phantom ones becomes impossible. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard doesn't fight like a traditional navy, they fight like digital guerrillas, using the complexity of American technology against itself. When those jamming arrays lit up along the Iranian coast near Bandar Abbas, they didn't just block radar signals. They actively injected thousands of fake contacts into the system, overwhelming the processing power that American sensors rely on to make sense of the battlefield. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, representing over $20 billion in cutting-edge military hardware, was suddenly flying blind in one of the most dangerous waterways on Earth. But here's where the story gets truly terrifying. The P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft orbiting high above the strait watched its advanced radar system get hammered by jamming so dense it was like trying to see through concrete. The tactical picture that every ship and aircraft depends on for coordination started crumbling into meaningless streaks of white noise. Without that digital backbone, a carrier strike group becomes a collection of isolated ships making life or death decisions based on guesswork. At 1:22 in the morning, the USS Abraham Lincoln crossed the red line. Two F-35C stealth fighters catapulted into the darkness, their mission to eliminate Iran's coastal missile batteries before those weapons could threaten the fleet. But Iran had another surprise waiting. As the jets approached the coastline, their GPS signals were violently strangled by the same electronic warfare systems crippling the fleet. Navigation went dark, forcing the pilots to fall back on infrared cameras and manual targeting. The bombs hit their targets with precision, lighting up the Iranian coastline in massive fireballs. But when the smoke cleared, the pilots realized they had just burned through millions of dollars in precision munitions to destroy elaborate decoys. Wooden frames and heat-emitting devices engineered to mimic real missile launchers. Iran's actual combat power remained buried in hardened mountain bunkers, fully armed and waiting for the Americans to push deeper into the trap. This is where electronic warfare reveals its true strategic genius. Every fake target forces real decisions. Every phantom contact burns real time and resources. Every corrupted data stream creates genuine uncertainty that ripples through the entire chain of command. Iran wasn't just jamming American sensors, they were weaponizing doubt itself. At 145, Iran escalated to full-scale spoofing, injecting fabricated data directly into the US combat network. The Link 16 system that coordinates the entire carrier strike group was suddenly flooded with thousands of phantom aircraft and missile boats, all screaming in on kamikaze runs that existed only as malicious code. Real and fake became indistinguishable, forcing human operators to manually verify every single contact, while precious seconds ticked away. The F-35 pilots found themselves fighting like it was 1943, shutting down all active radar and hunting purely by heat signatures detected through infrared cameras. Fifth-generation fighters worth over $100 million each were reduced to tracking engine exhaust with their eyeballs because their digital systems had become unreliable. The most advanced military technology on Earth was being defeated by strategic confusion. Then Iran unleashed the physical punch hidden behind their electronic smokescreen. Dozens of fast attack craft packed with explosives tore across the water at 50 knots, while clouds of suicide drones skimmed just 10 feet above the waves. The Aegis combat system struggled to sequence threats through the storm of electronic noise, forcing close-in weapon systems to engage targets at point-blank range. Every $1 million interceptor missile fired at a $1,000 drone represented a catastrophic loss in the attrition mathematics. The turning point came when the Admiral made a desperate decision. The entire carrier group went radio dark, shutting down all transmitters to break free from Iran's electronic grip. It blinded the enemy's targeting systems, but it also severed coordination across the American formation. Every ship and aircraft was now fighting independently, relying on human judgment instead of digital networks. Super Hornets thundered into the fight at wave-top level, using infrared targeting pods to visually identify Iranian craft through the chaos. Advanced precision kill weapon systems turned unguided rockets into surgical strikes, finally winning the cost-exchange ratio. The Iranian naval formation splintered under precise cannon fire and laser-guided rockets, leaving the strait littered with burning wreckage. The decisive blow came when F-35s used their passive sensors to triangulate Iran's electronic warfare command centers, guiding anti-radiation missiles directly into the transmitters that had orchestrated the entire digital ambush. In seconds, the fog lifted, communications cleared, and Iran's military coordination network went silent. But consider the darker alternative that came within minutes of reality. Imagine if Iran had successfully executed GPS spoofing, rewriting navigation data instead of just jamming it. An Aegis destroyer's combat system might register an approaching suicide boat as a friendly oil tanker following a known shipping route. Trusting digital data over human observation, the automated defenses would classify it as safe. By the time a human watchstander noticed the visual discrepancy, a catastrophic explosion would tear through the hull of a billion-dollar warship. The implications extend far beyond this single engagement. If electronic warfare can neutralize America's technological advantages in confined waters, what happens when the same tactics spread to other critical choke points? The Suez Canal, the South China Sea, the straits controlling access to major ports worldwide. Every narrow waterway becomes a potential digital kill box, where superior firepower means nothing if your sensors are feeding you lies. The real question that should terrify every naval strategist is this: what happens the next time an adversary successfully turns America's own technology into a weapon against itself? Because this engagement proved that the most sophisticated military hardware on Earth can be reduced to expensive scrap metal by a few lines of malicious code and the willingness to fight dirty. And unlike building new ships or developing better missiles, perfecting electronic deception just requires patience, creativity, and intimate knowledge of how American systems work. The age of digital naval warfare has arrived, and the rules have fundamentally changed. The next time this happens, and it will happen, the outcome might not favor the side with the bigger fleet. It might favor the side that better understands how to make the other side's machines lie to them when it matters most.